Get ready for the dictation on the count of 3, 2, 1, start. The most important instrument of accountability, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India has a dual role to perform. Firstly, as an agency to function on behalf of the legislature to ensure that the executive complies with the various laws passed by the legislature in letter and spirit, and secondly, on behalf of the executive to ensure compliance by subordinate authorities with the rules and orders issued by it. The Comptroller and Auditor General, as the head of the Indian Audit and Accounts Department, is thus neither a part of the legislature nor the executive, but is an officer created by the Constitution to see that diverse authorities act regarding all financial matters by the Constitution and the laws and rules framed thereunder. There are several provisions enshrined in the Constitution to safeguard his independent function. He is appointed by the President of India by warrant under his hand and seal, and his oath of office requires him to uphold the Constitution of India and the laws made thereunder. He can be removed from office only on grounds of proven misbehavior or incapacity after an address by both Houses of Parliament supported by a two-thirds majority. His salary and conditions of service cannot be varied to his disadvantage after appointment. He shall not be eligible for further office under the Government of India or of any state after retirement. His administrative powers and the conditions of service of persons serving in the Indian Audit and Accounts Department shall be prescribed by rules made by the President only after consulting him. The administrative expenses of his office are charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India and are not subject to being voted by Parliament. The legal basis for the auditoria functions of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India is provided by the Comptroller and Auditor General's Duties, Powers and Conditions of Service Act 1971. Although India has a federal setup, the Constitution provides for a unitary audit by the Comptroller and Auditor General, who conducts audits of the accounts of both the union and state governments. The Indian Constitution gave special status to Comptroller and Auditor General C and AG as laid down in Articles 148 to 152. The C and AG Act of 1971 regulates the duties, powers, and conditions of service of the Comptroller and Auditor General. Section 13, 16, and 17 of the Act give authority to Comptroller and Auditor General to audit all expenditures from and receipts into the Consolidated Fund of India and the state. Sections 14, 15, and 20 of the Act authorize C and AG to audit the receipts and expenditures of bodies or authorities substantially financed by loans or grants from union or state or union territory. Article 151 of the Constitution prescribes that audit reports on the accounts of the union and the states be submitted to Parliament, legislature, state legislature. There shall be a Comptroller and Auditor General of India who shall be appointed by the President by warrant under his hand and seal, and shall only be removed from office in like manner and on like grounds as a judge of the Supreme Court. Every person appointed to be the Comptroller and Auditor General of India shall, before he enters upon his office, make and subscribe before the President or some person appointed on that behalf by him an oath or affirmation according to the form set out for the purpose in the third schedule. The salary and other conditions of service of the Comptroller and Auditor General shall be such as may be determined by Parliament by law, and until they are so determined shall be as specified in the second schedule, provided that neither the salary of a Comptroller and Auditor General nor his rights in respect of leave of absence, pension, or the age of retirement shall be varied to his disadvantage after his appointment. The Comptroller and Auditor General shall not be eligible for further office either under the Government of India or under the government of any state after he has ceased to hold his office, subject to the provisions of this Constitution and of any law made by Parliament. The conditions of service of persons serving in the Indian Audit and Accounts Department and the administrative powers of the Comptroller and Auditor General shall be such as may be prescribed by rules made by the President after consultation with the Comptroller and Auditor General. The administrative expenses of the office of the Comptroller and Auditor General, including all salaries, allowances, and pensions payable to or in respect of persons serving in that office, shall be charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India.